welcome to the final quarterfinals match in the Trash Bowl. This time around we've got Ryuuzak versus Jwyland, and Ryuuzak is bringing a Dragon Druid. Blizzard, small indie company. Is bringing a Dragon Druid, a Highlander Hunter, a Galakrond Rogue, and his Highlander Warrior is banned. Jwyland bringing a Token Druid, a Face Hunter, a Galakrond Zoo Warlock, and his Mech Paladin is banned. Definitely a deck that we've seen have some success in the past in this tournament, so understandable ban there. And let's see if we can also spectate Ryuuzak without breaking anything. Looks good so far. Yeah, everything's good. Good stuff. So as I said, this is the final quarterfinals match. Of course, the semifinals come up after this. And if there's any background noise here, I'm sorry. We have some really bad storm going on right now, but I think it should be fine. That being said, the game is starting off. The Face Hunter doing Face Hunter things, which is damaging the face, while the Galakrond Rogue just, playing it slow, trying to keep control of the matchup, always having the weapon up. And now the question is, will we see Reinforcements, Hero Power, or Animal Companion? It's gonna be the former. Definitely how I would play it. That being said, I don't know if it's the best way to play it. Of course, Animal Companion is strongest when you have a lot of minions up, in case you get Leox, so not necessarily a bad play. And I wouldn't be surprised if we just saw, hitting the face, re-equipping the dagger. You don't want to play the Miscrim without the combo, because you need the value from the lackeys there. So plays it slow. Also noteworthy, of course, Jwyland, one of the very few people to include a silence in his Face Hunter. I've recently, after being eliminated from the tournament, made a similar decision in mine. Because sometimes you just have to overcome big taunts. Not as much in this matchup, but it could come into play against the Shield of Galakrond here later. And we see Ryuuzak just keeps re-equipping his dagger, dealing 1 damage at a time. Definitely not going to win by damage, but, just having that control once stuff comes down might allow him to keep control of the matchup. And Huffer coming out, another 6 damage. And there's, honestly, that starts being the point where, if you're Ryuuzak, you might start worrying about your health now. He has to, it enables the combo for the lackey, but also that 4 damage is going to go to your face now. Either way. I think we might see tracking later. We could see some trades, and then maybe we'll just see Life Drinker. Life Drinker Hero Power might also make sense here. If he trades his Leopardomes in, which at this point he maybe shouldn't even do. Yeah, he goes face with them, because once they die, the death roll will be triggered anyways. So yeah, we see Ryuuzak going down to 8 health, which is just 1 hero power plus all of the gnomes dying, so a bit of a tough situation to deal with for Ryuuzak here, because you have to somehow get to a higher health total, which, given what he has, he can't really. That doesn't solve it. And that should already be it for the match. Ooh, there's no healing spells in Rogue, if I'm not mistaken, so Dragon's Horde, the one that would have been most likely to fight him something, but of course no more mana left, and now it's just about Jwyland playing this correctly. And, if you bring a deck to a tournament, you should have enough experience with it to make those plays, and plays Life Drinker for an extra flourish. Could have, of course, hit face with all of them, played Life Drinker, Hero Power would have also won. There's so many lethals here, and very quickly, Jwyland 1-0. Of course, Face Hunter, the deck with which you win your games the most quickly. We got Token Druid and Galakrond Zoo Warlock remaining in his all-aggro lineup. Ryuuzak can still play the Galakrond Rogue, his Highlander Hunter, or the Dragon Druid. Question is, what do you think contends best against the true remaining decks? I would argue that the matchups are very similar, with both Token Druid and Galakrond Zoo Warlock being very board-centric aggro decks that try to build a big board and then buff it as part of their core strategy. So I think if you're Jwyland, which deck you pick honestly comes mostly down to preference. If you're Ryuuzak, you pick the counter to either one, really, because again, the matchup should be relatively similar, and we'll see what the competitors decide to play in a moment once they have finally picked their decks. The competitors have picked their decks, and Jwyland going with the Warlock, Ryuuzak bringing out the Hunter, and of course being, as I said already before, the Highlander Hunter. Jwyland keeping all 3 1-drops, so probably rather tap-heavy strategy. Of course gets the Sea Giant to profit off of it later. Wouldn't be surprised if we just saw the Dwarven Sharpshooter come down right away. As opposed to in Face Hunter and Highlander Hunter, this of course is in big parts used as an actual control tool. And we just see the Mekaru come down, and the Sidekick gets 5 health on his big taunt. And now of course the hero power can eliminate the Sidekick if you like. You can also play Corrosive Breath. Yeah, depends on what you want. Plays the Corrosive Breath, which is just basically Cobra Shot, not that people remember Cobra Shot, and didn't realize apparently that the minion was buffed. Of course, Sidekick would have been a better target here. We see the first tap happen, and Blazing Battle Mage seems like an obvious play. I know it gets killed by the hero power, but you still have to put down threats, and looks like he might... Okay. Not necessarily a bad choice. Decides to take the trade here so that the hero power can't kill the Battle Mage. Now we'll likely see this Desert Spear. 2 of the 1/1s die. And keeps relatively good control of the board. Now, Highlander Hunter by no means a control deck. It isn't an aggro deck either, it's more mid-range-ish. Which leads to a situation where the continued damage from tapping and also just taking a couple hits to the face maybe every now and again is relevant for Jwyland, because if you're facing a control deck, the damage doesn't matter as much, but because of the explosive nature of cards like Bran, you always have to keep an eye on your health total even if you're playing the aggro deck here. And Ryuuzak considers and at the end of the day decides to use the Deadly Shot here, and takes out the Knife Juggler as well. Still leaving a relatively solid board for Jwyland, having the Shield of Galakron now to support it. Could have played the Fiendish Rites, decides to go for slightly less damage now, but a more strongly protected board, which is definitely something I agree with. The question is, do you actually want your shield there, or would you have rather had it on the right side of the Direwolf? In this case, of course, turns out to be the correct choice, or rather, very indifferent choice, because the Divine Shield doesn't care about it. There was other ways he could have taken out where maybe it would have mattered. Small difference either way. Dragonblight Cultist and Fiendish Rites are both possible. Actually, Dragonblight Cultist Sea Giant seems like the obvious play here. Summon that summons 3 minions and costs 3 mana, of course, is free if you play a Sea Giant after it. And that is what he decides to do. And I wouldn't be surprised if we saw the 1/1s trade into the 5/3 actually, to protect both the Giant from potential trades with something else coming down, as well as the 6/1, knowing that both those together are lethal. And Varanus isn't it, and Dragonbane would have to hit the Cultist, which is a 25% chance. A 20% chance. And it did not. Leroy could have killed the Cultist reliably. Would have probably still died to Fiendish Rites. I haven't done the math quite yet, but very fast 2-0 for Jwyland. Very dominant performance so far. Means he has to go to the Token Druid next. But based on what people have been banning in the past, it appears like Token Druid is one of the stronger archetypes in this tournament. People seem to not like facing it. So maybe that is the strongest deck, at least it seems to be from common consensus, either that or the Face Hunter. So if he keeps going like this, he might win it, and based on what Ryuuzak has been doing, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Druid on Druid. Ryuuzak so far switching off the losing decks, and if he does that again, he could of course go back to the Galakron Rogue, but if he wants to go to a deck that he hasn't yet lost with in this matchup, he would go for the Dragon Druid. It seems like he's still making his decision. Of course, Jwyland not having much of a decision to make. And if you're Ryuuzak, of course, you could either go with, as I said, his what appears to have been a strategy so far. Of course, you can't really extrapolate from one data point too well. But you could now consider what is your best matchup against the Token Druid, and what do you feel most comfortable playing right now. Decides to go back to the Hunter, and both players showing off some custom heroes right now. And questionable starting hand for Jwyland, decent-ish starting hand for Ryuuzak. Now the question is, due to Force of Nature, do you actually keep both Anubis and Garden Gnome and just gamble on getting something good drawn early? Decides to get rid of everything, so does Ryuuzak. And, ooh, that's not much of an improvement. As a matter of fact, it's worse, because at least you could have coined the Garden Gnome on 3. Now you can see that coming, a lot of very cheap cards in the deck. You can still coin Garden Gnome on 3 at the very least now. Zephyrus is a very valid choice for Ryuuzak if he decides to do so. He does not, gets the hero power instead, knowing that he has the Griffin on 3. Tree Enforcements, finally a playable card for Jwyland here. Decides to go for the Treant, obviously. Can't even choose the other option if there's no minions on board. And we're gonna either see Corrosive Breath or Griffin, either one takes out the Treant here. And that is just what you have to do against the Treant, the Token Druid, even more so than the Face Hunter, is just keep the control of the board. Now, as I said, Conning Garden Gnome is possible. I wouldn't have hated Troubadour here, but I can see the argument for this being better tempo, and you can still play Troubadour Hero Power next turn if you don't draw anything better. Or maybe even Aeroponics and something. Troubadour Aeroponics would actually be free if nothing gets removed, of course. With the Griffin on hand, there's a very good chance something gets removed. Decides to go for the Garden Gnome, if I saw this correctly. Stat-wise, the correct choice, but due to Treant's energy, maybe the wrong choice. We're gonna see Troubadour, Aeroponics, Dendrologist, I would assume. Not maybe necessarily in that order. Depending on what the spell is. I would pick Mark of the Wild here for sure. Juicy Psych Melon is basically worthless in this deck. Trying to think if there's beasts, I don't think so. So it decides to go for this Psych Melon though. Has both Mulch Munchers on hand. I don't think there's anything you can draw with it. I would have liked seeing the Mark here. You don't really need the Taunt as much, although it could protect you from King Crush potentially at one point or other. And the 2/2 in stats is just kind of comparable to summoning a Treant, except that it doesn't require board space, which in Token Druid more so than any other deck is a concern. I plays some Psych Melon and draws... Oh, Goru! He was looking for Goru. Not sure if it's worth 4 mana just to draw Goru. If you still have the Mulch Monsters in deck, that's a stronger argument there, because you get 2 minions drawn at the very least. But I guess getting your key card guaranteed drawn, I didn't even think about that, yeah. 7 mana is part of the Psych Melon. You always think of like the big stuff, like Aviana Kun back in the day. But yeah. Ooh, I like Shadow Madness. I also like Shadow Flame though. Shadow Flame is the best choice here. I don't hate Shadow Madness. You can use it to get one of the minions, for example the Acorn Bearer, destroy 2 minions. But yeah, definitely the best choice here. Probably just gonna see something like... Maybe we're gonna see a Mulch Muncher actually. A Mulch Muncher and Squirrel. Just take back the board. Reduce the damage you're taking. Again, the Highlander Hunter is not a control deck, so keeping a little bit of an eye on your health is very sensible. We see Ciliax come down, takes out the Mulch Muncher, and then probably just Hero Power after that. Yep. Now Goru is an option right now, and it might not even be a bad one. Yep, decides to go for it right away. Relatively mediocre stats for the cost, although they are actually, the vanilla stats is just very unevenly split, and you're not necessarily looking for health as much. Ryuuzak, it looked like he was considering the deadly shot for the 50-50, and goes for it! And hits it too! I mean, it is a 50-50, it's not that unlikely, but still, very good luck there for Ryuuzak, and now he seems to be pushing it. Deciding to just go for the damage, knowing that he has some explosive potential ahead. And Savage Roar not exactly what you're looking for right now. Mulch Muncher comes down, plus Landscaping. Decides to just take out the Ziliax, hit some damage in the face. Mostly controlling the board, of course, this turn at least. And I wouldn't be surprised if we just saw Dragon Queen trying to keep the push going. We see Unleash the Beast, wants to play it safe, doesn't want to take the 8 damage to the face, plays it slow, as he is arguably more so the control deck in this matchup, although, as I said, not a control deck. But still decides to push the hero power because producing a 3-2 isn't necessarily that powerful. We see Forest 8 come down, a lot of 3-3s, Goro is a very powerful card, and look at that board. And I'm trying to think, does Alexstrasza give you anything that helps you here? I guess Malagos, but that's a bit of a long shot. Emerald Explorer is a taunt that helps, Ysera not as much. Emrys is good, but I think I like Twin Tyrant better here, because using the overwhelming Emrys stats might be too slow. As a matter of fact, I'm very confident it is too slow. Twin Tyrant allows you to clear up a good chunk of the board. It is not the fastest either, but at least it has immediate impact, and that is what he picks. We see Ysera come down, of course. No reason not to, and I think with Savage Roar this should be an easy lethal. I haven't done the math yet, but we have the 2 leftmost minions could hit into the Drake, and then we have 5 times 5 is 25, plus like 4 from face, 3 from face. That is like 27 points of damage that can go to the face. That is an easy lethal for Jwyland, and very dominant performance, going 3-0 against Ryuuzak, and even hits the face into the Emerald Explorer because you're just so used to not wanting to sack your minions. If it wasn't lethal, I think that would be a bit of a questionable choice concerning your health, but especially because 8 can crush, you know. But it is lethal, so it doesn't matter either way. Jwyland 3-0, very strong performance, and I don't know from on top of my head who he's gonna face in the American semifinals, but whoever that is, you better do your homework and see that you can slow down this man, because whoa. That being said, drop a like if you enjoyed what you saw, and subscribe to the channel if you don't want to miss the semifinals. This is just gonna get better from here. And also leave a comment, anything about this matchup that you wanted to say, leave in the comments, that's what they're there for. And until next time, that's it.